first question Baba asked is, who is Laxman? And I was like, I didn't know how to react. And whenever you're in presence of Baba, you just go blank. And I did go blank that day, and there was I cannot express the kind of feeling, the kind of happiness or the kind of joy I felt. Firstly, seeing him so closely, and secondly, when he knew my name and he asked me. And at that time, I was going through tough times in my career because I was opening the batting for our country, and I was not doing so well. I was frequently being dropped from the team because people were branding me as a non-regular opener, even though I was trying to do my best. And I was in a dilemma. Shall I continue opening, or shall I stop opening and play in the middle order? And the first thing Baba told after when he talked to me was, I know there are a lot of clouds in your mind. There are a lot of clouds. It's just passing phase. It's only passing clouds. He knew exactly what I was going through, and I mean that was the first glimpse, first experience of Baba the God to me. And since then, I feel he's guiding me.
For Vangipurapu Venkata Sai Laxman, shortly called VVS Laxman, a noted cricketer from South India, Bhagawan Sri Sathya Sai Baba is a guide and coach not only for his game of cricket but also for the game of his life. In this interview, which we bring you as a part of our series Tryst with Divinity, Laxman tells us how spirituality has helped him not only to face every ball as a batsman, but also to face every situation in his life with confidence. This interview is about a cricketer's sport and his spirit.
My lowest point was not being picked for the 2003 World Cup. That was low, and in fact at that time I thought that I would leave cricket. And luckily there was a gap of 5 months, and my uncle, my coaches helped me to get back the love for the game. In fact, I was losing the love for the game. And the biggest change came was when I came here to Puttaparthi, and Baba actually blessed me by giving a vibhuti, and he told, he put his hand over me and told everything will be okay. And you won't believe, the next season was the best season of my life. When I got 3 consecutive hundreds in a week in Australia in one day cricket. Correct. A guy was not picked for World Cup 6 months back, and guy gets 3 hundreds in a week in Australia.
One message is clear from Laxman's life. One who puts faith in the Lord would never be let down. So, hear the whole story yourself. By the way, this was a conversation between Laxman and Radio Sai's B. Arvind, recorded at our studio on the month of April 2011.
Om Shri Sai Ram. Swami often says life is a game played. Today in our Radio Sai studios, we are very happy, privileged, proud and joyous to have someone for whom a game has been his life. We welcome India's cricketing icon, VVS, very, very special, otherwise Vangipurapu Venkata Sai Laxman. Welcome to our studios.
Thank you.
First, we would like to know, how is it that you got into cricket full time? Your parents have been doctors. You yourself entered into the medical field a bit.
Right from my younger days, like any kid in India, I used to play cricket in my neighborhood and in my school. And every Sunday, me and my brother along with my mother used to go to my grandmother's place. And my maternal uncle, Baba Krishna Mohan, he himself used to be a cricketer. Otherwise, most of my relatives, my cousins or my uncles and aunts are either doctors or engineers. So it was my uncle who actually spotted talent in me. But saying that, I never really took cricket as a profession right from the time I started. It was more of a hobby, and I always wanted to become a doctor like my parents. And my dad, Dr. V. Shantaram, was my role model. And I used to feel great whenever I used to hear stories about him from his patients, how my father actually saved their lives. And I feel doctor or medicine is the noblest of profession we can come across. Saying that, I always wanted to become doctor, and even in my 11th and 12th I took BPC, and I started and preparing for the MSET exam, which is the entrance exam to get into the medical college. But in my 11th and 12th, I got so many opportunities to play for Hyderabad at various age group levels, and also by the end of my 12th class, I was on verge of playing for Hyderabad in the Ranji Trophy. And that was the toughest period for me because my childhood dream was to become doctor, and the childhood fairy tale or fairy dream, what every kid in India has, is to become a cricketer and represent the country. And I was in a tricky position where I had to choose between medicine and cricket. And luckily my parents helped me during that decision making time with the influence of my uncle, because for a kid who is from a middle class family, and cricket was not a professional career to be chosen at that time. I'm talking about way back in early 90s, and being from a family where both parents are doctors, and also my other colleagues, other friends who were probably equally as talented or probably more talented than me, and their parents actually forced them into taking medical profession or engineering profession. They gave me the total independence, they gave me the total freedom to choose my career. So I think that was the most important moment for me, most important decision which probably I had taken at that stage of my career. And luckily for me, that paid off. What my parents gave, they gave me 5 years time. And because in cricket, age is a huge factor. And they told that if I don't play for the country within 5 years, then I would stop playing cricket, come back, again prepare for my exams and get into a medical school. And luckily for me, those 5 years I totally focused and dedicated myself to improve myself as a cricketer, and made use of various opportunities which I got, and various breaks I got, and performed consistently. And by the end of 5th year, I represent the country in 1996 when I played my first test against South Africa. That was how I got into cricket in a professional manner. But it used to be an hobby, which later on converted itself by Swami's grace, by Baba's grace, into a profession. And I'm really proud of the decision, and because every kid in India dreams of playing for the country, whereas I got an opportunity to represent the country for more than 100 test matches, which in itself is a dream come true, and it couldn't have been possible without Baba's blessings. And I feel really blessed that I got this opportunity and got an opportunity to serve my country through cricket.
You said that it would not have been possible without Baba's blessings. How did Baba come into your life?
Right from my childhood. I mean, before I talk about Swami, I come from a family where it's quite a religious family. My grandfather, my father's father himself was a big zamindar and a landlord in Tenali, in Andhra Pradesh, but he had a vision in his dream, and by one Paramahamsa Yogananda, and he actually gave away his entire property, and he came to Hyderabad to spread Bhagavad Gita.
What was the dream? Paramahamsa
was to give away everything as charity and come and spread Bhagavad Gita in Hyderabad. That was his dream. So he left everything and with his family came to Hyderabad, that too when Nizam Sarkar was in reign, and he came and he started spreading Bhagavad Gita, and I feel great, because a lot of the senior people in Hyderabad, whenever they see me, they relate me as grandson of Jagannath Shastri, my grandfather's name, so he's dedicated his life to spreading the message of Bhagavad Gita. And also from my maternal grandfather himself was a big businessman, a big lawyer, and represented various companies like ILTD and other major companies in Andhra Pradesh in India, but he himself was very religious. And even though my father was always very, very busy with his medical profession, but because being from an environment where my grandfather was a Bhagavad Gita scholar, he himself was very religious, and so was my mother, because again, the environment she grew up. And it was actually my mother who got into the family the awareness of Shirdi Sai Baba.
Okay.
So when my father got married to my mother, it was she who got in the awareness of Shirdi Sai Baba into our family. And we were always a staunch devotee of Shirdi Sai Baba right from my younger days. My parents made sure that me and my brother always read the Bhagavad Gita 12th chapter. So we actually know it by heart, and we recite that every day morning once we take our shower, and in the evening again taking shower, and before dinner as a family we actually do our puja together, and even now we do that. So right from my younger days we used to go to Shirdi and various other religious places like...
You chant the Bhagavad Gita even today?
Yeah, even today. I mean, that's become a ritual, and I feel great whenever I do that. And I continue doing all the prayers which my father taught me right from my childhood, and I continue doing that. And I think that's very important for any kid, because irrespective of what position you gain in your life or in your career, it's very important to know how you got that. And I feel whatever achievements anyone has in his life is just because of the blessings of the spiritual leaders and the God himself.
What is so special in the 12th chapter?
Regarding the 12th chapter, I think it's a synopsis of various motivational books or various philosophical books which you read in the market. Because if you read the 12th chapter and if you understand it, and luckily for me, because I being a cricketer, I experienced that a lot in my career, where there is so much of uncertainties, there is so much of scrutiny by various people. Sometimes because you do well, you get so much of praise, and when you don't do well, people start talking negatively about you, they start criticizing you. And luckily for me, because I read the 12th chapter from my younger days, I was able to be as equanimous as possible as I can be. There are a lot of things which the 12th chapter actually teaches you, but the crunch of 12th chapter for me is to be very equanimous. So right from my younger days, if I don't get even hot water, there's some places where as a younger kid now, because of being a test cricketer, you stay in 5-star hotels. But before that, when we were growing up, we used to stay in dormitories or various colleges, and sometimes you may not get hot water. So my father thought that because we read in Bhagavad Gita, whether you get hot water, whether you bathe with cold water, you have to remain the same. Whether it's hot or cold, you have to be the same. Whether people criticize you or people praise you, you have to be the same. So you have to be equanimous, irrespective of what people are saying about you. So you have to take the various criticism or even the praise in the same manner. You should not be really flying high in the clouds if someone praises you, or you should not be feeling really depressed and low when someone criticizes you. And luckily for me, that is what I learned from the Bhagavad Gita.
That we see it when we see you on the screen also, in the TV, even when you bat, we see you're the most cool, calm, collected, never seem to get excited, even when reaching milestones, never seem to be seeming low, because most of the times when you come into bat, it is a situation where everybody is feeling depressed. All of us watching is also feeling depressed and hoping that you do your miracle as always.
Why I do well in that situation is the second thing what I learned in Bhagavad Gita was that you do your duty and not thinking about the fruits of your action, and you surrender to the God, and the God will decide what result to be given. And that's something which is so important when I come into bat in some tough situation, because I am just out there doing my duty, which is to bat well for the country, and the results is already decided. God will decide what kind of result to be given to any cricketer, and I am not doing that duty with the fruits of my action, even though the end result is to win the game, but I'm not thinking about winning the game. I'm just doing the duty, I'm just following the process, which again so many motivational books actually, or the philosophical or psychological books teach, is you be in the process. You're not thinking about too much about the future or too much about the past. You're just being in the present, and that's again what the Bhagavad Gita teaches. So I'm very lucky that I had that upbringing right from my younger days. And then we used to go to various religious places like obviously Tirupati or to Shirdi, and various temples in Hyderabad, because even though my father and mother were busy doctors, but they made sure that they took out time to take us to temples whenever they had free time, and also to the houses of elders in our family, because they felt always that by taking the blessings of the elders and by going to their houses and by being close to the elders, you can learn a lot. You know, the kids who are especially very young can learn a lot by being in the presence of the elders. You know, so they made it a point to take us to various temples and to the houses of elders in our family. That's how we grew up, you know, and I'm really proud that I had such an upbringing. And coming to Swami, the first time I met Swami was in 1998, because even before that we heard about Swami, and we definitely read various books written by Swami or, you know, preached by Swami. But I never had an opportunity to actually come to Puttaparthi or even to Whitefield in Bangalore, even though my parents and my brother came to Puttaparthi 3-4 times before. But because I was busy with my matches, I never came along with them. And the first time I met Swami was in 1998 when the new cricket stadium was built. And I didn't come for the main cricket event, which was between India against the World 11, but
you had a match before.
Match before that to test the ground, which was between Hyderabad or Andhra Pradesh versus Karnataka. You know, there was a mixture of.
You scored a half century.
Yeah, there, and just to test the ground, and luckily that was the first time. In fact, I met legends like Gundappa Vishwanath, Errapalli Prasanna, who themselves are staunch devotees of Sai, and that was the first time actually. I met Swami, and when Swami's devotees invited me, I had clearly mentioned them, I'll come only if Baba gives us darshan. Because I heard from my parents that, you know, they came here so many times, but because there's so many people who are waiting for Baba's darshan, they just attended the bhajans and they saw Swami from a far off distance and they left. And my father and mother were very happy that at least they got a glimpse of Baba at the time. But being childish, I must say, I was very keen that only if Baba gives us darshan, which is a close contact darshan, only then will I come. And I was so blessed that I came and we played that match. Baba came and watched that match. And in the evening, the entire, the players of both the teams actually got an opportunity to have an interview with Baba. And the first question Baba asked is, who is Laxman? And I was like, I didn't know how to react. And whenever you're in presence of Baba, you just go blank. And I did go blank that day, you know. And there was I cannot express the kind of feeling, the kind of happiness or the kind of joy I felt. Firstly, seeing him so closely, and secondly, when he knew my name and he asked me. And at that time, I was going through tough times in my career because I was opening the batting for our country, and I was not doing so well. I was frequently being dropped from the team because people were branding me as a non-regular opener, even though I was trying to do my best. And I was in a dilemma. Shall I continue opening or shall I stop opening and play in the middle order? And the first thing Baba told after when he talked to me was, I know there are a lot of clouds in your mind. You know, there are a lot of clouds. It's just passing phase. It's only passing clouds. He knew exactly what I was going through. And I mean, that was the first glimpse, first experience of Baba the God to me. And since then, I feel he's guiding me. And there is no question that whatever I have achieved, whatever I've gone through, whether it's ups and downs, it's because of Baba's wish. And I feel really blessed that I've experienced Baba's blessing so many times in my career. Yeah.
So now when you look at Baba, he's like God for you.
Yes.
So what I wanted to ask is, you said about equanimity and preparation. See, we often hear that in cricket, a lot depends in the initial phase on your skill, your talent, you get noticed. But once you reach the highest level, more than skill, talent, they say it's all about the mind and how you prepare yourself. So what sort of preparation goes into that?
I think preparation is very, very important, you know, not only in sport, but any profession you are. Because if you're not prepared, then when you're actually in midst of an examination, because every day it's an examination for me. I mean, when you're going out and playing a match, it's nothing but an examination. So I always relate that to a student who's preparing for an exam. If suppose a student has to read the entire textbook, and a textbook with its 100 pages, and he reads only 30 or 40 pages, then when the student is writing the exam, his mind is so restless, and his mind is just praying that I should get questions only from those 30-40 pages, because otherwise he doesn't know anything else in the textbook. Then his mind is very restless. But if he reads through the entire 100 pages, when he's writing the exam, his mind is free. The answers are just flowing. And in cricket also it's similar. And in cricket it's more important because you're playing a ball which is coming at 140 to 150 kilometers per hour. And you have to react within a fraction of a second. So that's why its preparation is very important, because when you're out in the middle, you're with a blank mind. You're not really thinking, I didn't practice this, and if suppose Brett Lee bowls me in that area, then I'll struggle. Whereas you cover everything, you're not thinking about the result, because being a game, sometimes even though you do the best of preparation, you may get out. But saying that if you're prepared well, then your instincts take over, and your reflexes, and you react quickly, and then you just play and watching the ball and reacting to the ball. That's why I think preparation is very important. And that too, I learned preparation again is important to be perfect. And that comes with experience. Because as a kid, I used to bat for 3 hours, 4 hours without any purpose. I used to run for 1 hour, 1.5 hours without any purpose. Whereas now, with experience, I know that even if I bat for half an hour in the nets before the match, I am comfortable when I'm playing the match, because I know what exactly I should be practicing. If suppose I'm playing against South Africa, I know what a Dale Steyn would bowl to me, or what a Morne Morkel will bowl to me, or the other bowlers will bowl to me. And if suppose I'm playing on a wicket like Durban, I know what kind of challenges I'll be facing in that wicket. So I'll prepare accordingly the previous day or 2 or 3 days before the test match, so that when I go into the match, I'm not thinking about I didn't prepare this or I didn't prepare that, whereas I'm 100% sure that I've done the best preparation I can do, and I just go and react to the ball. So I think perfect practice or perfect preparation is also very important.
Now, what you said, most of it is in terms of physical preparation, in terms of the bounce. Incidentally, Brett Lee had said that it's great if you can get Dravid out, it is fantastic if you get Sachin out, but it's a miracle if you get Laxman out. Yeah, so what I'm saying is, this kind of preparation in the sense, see, when you're playing at a lower league, in the sense state level, district level, as you're coming up, yeah, there are so many things you take tips, improve your batting, technique, style, but after you reach a certain level, you have your own technique. I mean, I don't think anyone will say that we need a better Laxman technique, that's it, or a better Sachin technique, better Dravid technique. So there's not much to improve in terms of your technique or your footwork or anything. So after that, how else do you improve yourself or keep perfecting with each game? I mean, it is no longer physical, right?
Yeah. Firstly, no one is 100% technically correct. You know, if Laxman has got lot of technical flaws, Dravid has got lot of technical flaws, so has Sachin. And every day we are working to rectify the technical flaws which actually creep into our game without our knowing. Because when you're playing so much of cricket, there are small flaws which will make a huge difference in the way we are performing. So that's why we keep analyzing our own game by watching our own videos, and we learn and keep improving. Every day is a learning process. And that's why probably I can be proud that, we have lasted so long, because there's a continuous improvement. I mean, if you see someone like a Sachin, even now after playing 21 years, he still, if you see him practice, he practices like someone who has just made his test debut, and that's why he's a legend. See, when I talk about cricket, I'm thinking whatever I talk applies to any profession. So that's why there has to be a continuous improvement in yourself as a cricketer. Now, even though I've got technical flaws, which I know I have got, how do I counter that? That's the most important thing. I think that's what you're asking.
Exactly.
Mentally be confident by having a game plan. Even though I've got a technical flaw, I can share that my technical flaw is I don't move my feet so much like what probably a Rahul Dravid does. But then how do I counter that? Is by making sure that my head is in good position and I play close to the body. Even though I've got a technical flaw, there is a way to still perform with that technical flaw.
Using your strength to overcome your weakness.
So everyone has got strengths, everyone has got weaknesses. So I try to make sure that my weaknesses are very, very limited, or I cut down as much as possible on my weakness and improve on my strength. preparation is very important because you have a game plan in place. And when you prepare well, your game plan can be executed very easily in the match. So that's where I feel that visualization comes a lot. And that is not taught. Unfortunately, there are not so many coaches or experts in India or probably even world over who can actually teach a sportsman or teach a cricketer how to visualize properly, because all they can teach is about skill. But skill is probably only 30%. If you give 100%, I feel that 30% is skill. Okay, 40% is your mental preparation, and 30% is God's blessings. And that's the entire 100. If you ask me for your performance, the problem is no one teaches the remaining 70%. Everyone is teaching the 30%. Okay, so the 40%, I think again it comes with the experience by reading various books. And then you start visualizing. So now I've reached a stage where I actually visualize what I'm going to do the next day. Even though it is for 20 minutes before I go to bed each night. But I clearly see how I'm playing the next day. And there have been times where whatever I visualized the previous day, it just flows. And it happens very, very similar to what I visualized the previous night. So I think visualization is very important. Visualization I do as if I'm playing, like again, when I'm playing, I'm giving an example of South Africa because that was the last tour I played. So I visualize what Dale Steyn will be bowling to me and how I'm reacting to that. How I'm going to play Dale Steyn, how I'm going to play Morkel, how I'm going to play Paul Harris, how I'm going to play Sosobi. So I visualize them bowling and I playing the various shots which I'm planning to play, which I prepared in the afternoon in the nets, and I visualize that. And most times, then actually I execute whatever I visualized. And that's become better with experience. And the remaining 30%, which is God's grace, also comes by actually surrendering to the God when you are going out. That's the first thing which I do is when I'm going out to bat, I just surrender the entire innings to the God. I tell, okay, I prepared well, I visualized, so that's the best I could do to play this match. And I'm not now thinking about the results. I'm just thinking that I just go out and do my duty for the country, and then the results will be taken care by the God. So whatever results come, I take it as a blessing from God, and I just go out and play without having too much of attachment to the results.
You have been a part of the Fab Four, Sachin, Dravid, Saurav and you. But it has so happened that a lot of times you have been under severe scrutiny and every time drop, taken. I mean, as you said, everybody has ups and downs, but you seem to have had more ups and downs, more frequently, going up, coming down, going up, coming down. So how is it that you have maintained you said Bhagavad Gita has helped. I wanted to know whether during those times when you have visited Swami, has Swami said something or has it happened anything like that?
Yeah, a lot of times, because we've been very lucky that Swami blessed us with various interviews at various times. All the gods preach the same.
Correct.
Swami is a god, and we are so lucky that he's a living god at the moment. Because all the gods which we hear about, we've only heard about them, but we've never seen them. Whereas I feel we are lucky. You all are really blessed, that you've been Puttaparthi, you've studied and you're seeing Baba so closely, even though you don't meet him every day, but you stay just probably some meters away from where his house is. But saying that he's a living God. So I think Baba always says that you just do your duty without having attachment, what is written in Bhagavad Gita. Even though I had ups and downs, my only desire was to do well for the country. And as I mentioned that once I was 18 years old, when I finished my 12th, I decided to take cricket as a profession. And my father always taught me, it's not what profession you take, how you glorify that profession is very important. So that's always been my desire, because my father being a doctor, even now he's 69 years, but he dedicated himself to the medical profession. So even though we tell him, we force him, you please take rest, but he's the most busiest person in our family at the moment, because for him, he feels that his mission in life is to serve the needy through medical profession, which Baba does not only through medical profession, but he looks after the needy in various aspects of their lives. He fulfills the various requirements of each devotee, So Baba is definitely the biggest healer or the biggest doctor who is in the world at the moment. That I took very seriously is how my dad is serving the country through medical profession. I have to serve the country through cricket. Until I retired from the game, I always wanted to improve. I always wanted to do well for the country, and that was the only motivation for me. So even though I had lots of ups and downs, and I've seen some fellow cricketers actually who give up the game because the kind of ups and downs they had early on in the career, they actually gave up the game because they became very frustrated, they became very disappointed. But for me, the only motivation was to do well for the country through cricket. And as I mentioned, very few get that opportunity. So even though I was dropped, even though I was low, and my lowest point was not being picked for the 2003 World Cup. That was low. And in fact, at that time, I thought that I would leave cricket. And luckily there was a gap of 5 months, and my uncle, my coaches helped me to get back the love for the game. In fact, I was losing the love for the game. And the biggest change came was when I came here to Puttaparthi, and Baba actually blessed me by giving a vibhuti, and he told, he put his hand over me and told everything will be okay. And you won't believe, the next season was the best season of my life. When I got 3 consecutive hundreds in a week in Australia in one day cricket.
Correct.
A guy was not picked for World Cup 6 months back, and guy gets 3 hundreds in a week in Australia. And so what I'm trying to say is the only desire, the only motivation for me was to do well for the country and represent the country and do well for the country through cricket. And that's why even though there were lots of ups and downs, that never bothered me, because I always wanted to practice. Even though I was dropped, the next day I would get up at 6 o'clock and go for my training. And that I think I should really thank my parents to give me such kind of upbringing, because if suppose my dad is out of the house by 8 o'clock and comes back at 9 o'clock in the night, I mean, it will be very stupid on my part to sleep till 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, feeling disappointed, feeling disheartened, saying that I've been dropped. And also I've seen my dad, there have been cases where, I mentioned earlier in the interview, where there were a lot of patients of my dad who actually came and in front of me gave accolades to my dad, saying that he actually saved their family members' life. Whereas there have been instances also when someone came and actually started abusing my dad because their relative was not saved. So that's when my dad told me see, I am also practicing Gita. I am practicing to be equanimous. Because my dad again says, even in medical profession, he can do the best. And there have been cases which my dad narrates, and I've seen a living example is my uncle. He actually underwent a bypass surgery in Chennai, in Apollo Hospital. Being the cousin brother, my father accompanied him to Chennai, and my aunt relied on my father to save her husband's life. And the doctors declared him dead there. And my father started thinking about my aunt and thinking that she relied a lot on my dad, and his brother is dead. And then what it does, he tells, I'm not going to give up. He tells to the other doctors, let us not give up. And they totally surrendered to the God and saying that, okay, God, we have tried our best. Now it's up to you. How you can revive my brother. I've tried my best. Then a miracle happens where after 15 minutes, suddenly the heart starts pumping again. So even because of medical profession, my father has seen or experienced the power or the blessing of the God from close quarters. And that's where actually I learned, because when I grew up, because I saw my dad so closely, having all these experiences and sharing that with me and my brother in puja, just because by heart Bhagavad Gita, it's not only reciting Bhagavad Gita, but actually understanding the meaning of Bhagavad Gita. And we used to also read various other books written by various other scholars, like Swami Vivekananda or, Prabhupada. And also we used to read Sai Satcharitra. There's a diary given to my dad by his father, which is known as a spiritual diary. So every day there's a message. So we read that. And what he does at the end of the prayer, at the end of the puja, is give an incident by reading a paragraph of one of the books like this. He relates that to the experience he had in his life. And so we actually can understand, instead of just reading the books, he actually gives an example. So we can understand while growing up, because we are very immature at that time. So because of all those understanding and all those experiences which my father shared with me, I think I was able to handle all these ups and downs so well in my career. And I feel really great that I had such kind of an upbringing. I feel really
This is really fantastic, because many times when we go out, when we speak, people speak of Bhagavad Gita as outdated, or it's not relevant, and it is all shlokas. But when an achiever, I'm sure not only you, all of us, all the cricket fans and the whole nation is grateful to your uncle and father for having sustained you, and finally Swami for having blessed you during that period, because after that, what all you have done is simply phenomenal. I also remember, one occasion when you had scored a century, and on TV, Gavaskar greeted you as Sai Ram, and you greeted back Sai Ram. All of us felt so thrilled. We were all so happy. So, I just wanted to ask, because there are so many people who have come to Swami in the team now and among the legends. So, do you discuss Swami and talk about Swami in your circles there?
Yeah, a lot. We talk about Swami a lot. There's a wrong perception about cricketers in the society, because it being a very glamorous field, it being a field where you have so many followers, and sort of people treating cricketers as demigods, so there's a very wrong perception about cricketers. But I must say that all the cricketers are very simple guys who got a lot of values, and luckily all the cricketers I have played with have great family upbringing, and all of them are very religious, and all of them actually practice whatever I mentioned till now, is being equanimous, is taking ups and downs in the same manner, and everyone practices that, otherwise they couldn't or they wouldn't have played for the country for so long. And talking about Gavaskar, everyone knows what a staunch devotee he is of Baba. He being a commentator and I being a cricketer, it's very rare we come across, and only when, in some, say, a post-match presentation or just before the match, when he's probably in the ground just commenting on the wicket or giving an interview to the broadcaster, and we go out for the warm-ups, if we meet, we come out, we talk, and most of the time the talk is around Swami, because again the experiences he himself had in his life and the blessings he had from Swami, he feels really great, and he feels very blessed that again Swami took him in his fold and blessed him and his family. So we share all those experiences, share in the sense I hear all his experiences. I never actually talk about my experience, because I respect him so much, and being an elder and one of the best cricketers.
Could you talk now some experiences you have had with Swami? Something.
My experiences?
Yeah.
Oh, my experiences, there have been a lot. There have been a lot. The first experience I mentioned you that.
Yeah.
The second experience was, there are a lot of experiences which probably the time wouldn't be sufficient for me to
a representative sample.
But saying that I can share my feelings. I can share my feeling. The first time I met him in '98. At the end of that meeting, after that day, I had to go back the same night to Hyderabad, because I had to go for some other match, and that's why I missed the main match. Correct. Because I was playing a first class match at that time, and you won't believe the entire journey from Puttaparthi to Hyderabad, I felt as if Swami was in front of me. It was Swami's image in front of me, and that's the kind of feeling I get whenever I come to Puttaparthi. All of us crave that Baba should come and give us an interview. Baba should come and give us a blessing. Baba should come and give us vibhuti. Baba should come and talk to us. And every disciple who is in Puttaparthi or world over dreams of having that. And whenever you have that opportunity, you feel out of the world. You actually are in a state of trance, I can say, where you don't even know what's happening. You're just in trance, and you're just seeing Baba in front of you. That's it. So that was the first time actually I experienced that. When Sarvajit, my eldest son, was born, Sarvajit's name was given by Baba. I came here when my son was 3 years old, and we were waiting for 2 days. We were hoping that Baba should name him, and by then we heard that Baba stopped actually naming children, and we were waiting. First 2 days Baba didn't even look at us. On the third day suddenly he saw us, and then he sort of called me, and I requested him that I have been blessed with a son. before that, I can also narrate you one story before that is, I was not keen on having kids, because I was so busy playing cricket, whereas my wife, she was very keen that, we have kids. And even for that, you won't believe, it may sound very stupid that actually I came to Puttaparthi and with my wife, and we had an interview with Baba, and my wife just told that, we are keen to have kids, but Lakshman is not keen because he still is focusing on his cricket. And in fact, it was Baba who told, no, it's now time to have kids, and you will have a son and a daughter. And you won't believe, immediately after 1 year, we were blessed with our first son. So when I requested Baba, then he told, I would bless your son by naming him. And then he called us into the interview room, and my wife, who is probably more staunch than me as a devotee to Baba, both of us took our son inside, and you won't believe, for the first 5 minutes, we actually forgot why we went into the room. And both my wife and myself, we were just looking at Baba with a blank face. As I mentioned earlier, whenever I see Baba, it becomes blank and it's full of love, happiness, whatever his face, he's spreading the message of love and happiness. And whenever I see him, there's some kind of a feeling in my heart, which is again, I cannot explain that. And for 5 minutes, we were just with a blank mind, just staring at him. And then after 5 minutes, we realized that we've actually come in to request Baba to name our son, and then he takes our son in his lap and names him as Sarvajit, and he tells that he will be victorious in everything he does. And so such experiences cannot be expressed. The feeling which you had during that, now when I'm narrating you this story, again that feeling is there in your heart, and I think that feeling is very, very memorable. I think I cannot describe that feeling also, so I think such experiences I had a lot.
Even your daughter was named by
Yeah, even my daughter was named, but by then we didn't get an interview, but actually Baba told me to name her as Achintya. It also tells that Achintya means no chinta lenidi, it tells. So I think we are very fortunate, we feel very blessed that Baba actually named both our kids. I feel, and that's what even my wife feels, that actually both the kids are very special, because in a world or in a society now, the way things are going, or the kind of exposure the younger kids have, whereas both my kids actually know what Baba is at such a tender age, and they feel all excited whenever they come to Puttaparthi or in the apartments where we stay. Even the apartments where we stay in Hyderabad, that's a place where actually Baba stayed there, and that was one of his devotees who actually donated it to the trust, and we constructed apartments there where the first floor is a mandiram, where every Thursday morning and evening there is bhajans, Baba bhajans. So my son, actually, I should be thanking my wife that she makes sure that my son and daughter attend all those bhajans religiously. And the environment they're growing in, where, we've got some neighbors who are also staunch Sathya Sai Baba devotees. They themselves, Shankar Narayan Planjari and Raji Lakshmi Planjari, they are staunch devotees of Baba. They treat my kids as their grandchildren, and also the kind of exposure they get whenever they're going to go into their house, and also the kind of exposure they get whenever they come into my parents' house. I feel great that my kids, right from the younger days, are getting the exposure, are getting the awareness of Baba, and I'm sure that will hold them in good stead in the future to come.
Yeah, just before we wind up, one or two questions. One thing is, you said you don't meet much of Gavaskar, but like Sachin, Rahul, Dravid, all of them, they have also come to Swami. Because you're all the senior members in the team, and this is just my imagination, just thinking that, in case you discuss Swami and all that, that will naturally rub on and have an effect on everybody else in the team also, because everybody look up to you, you're all the heroes, you're all their stars. So that way do you have...
Yeah, in fact, 2 days back I met Rahul in Bangalore before I came here, and he told that only 3 weeks back he came to Puttaparthi and a darshan of Baba, and so does Sachin. So, it's interesting, as I mentioned, that all of us are from middle class families, all of us are from religious family with a good upbringing, and we feel really lucky. And all of us know that Baba has been very, very kind to us. Baba has actually blessed us. When you go to Sachin's room, you'll find Baba's photograph in the side, and every day morning he does puja. He has agarbattis and all that. And even in his coffin, he'll have Baba's photograph. So, and we keep discussing, more so with Sachin than probably with Rahul, because me and Sachin, we have got some special bonding as far as Baba is concerned, and we discuss how Baba has helped us at various times of our lives. And it's unbelievable that someone like Sachin, who has achieved so much of success, but is so down to earth, and he feels that Baba actually has blessed his family and himself. As I mentioned, 30% is your skill, 40% is your mind, and 30% is God's grace. And I feel that for us, it's 100% God's grace. It's 100% God's grace, because it's only because of Bhagawan Sai only that we got our skill. It's only because of Bhagawan Sai that we are able to think properly. And it's only because of Bhagawan Sai that we are blessed whenever we're performing for the country. So I think we feel great that Baba has blessed us, and Baba has shown us a way to lead our lives, even though we are in a glamorous field like cricket. But because of the upbringing we had by our parents and the blessings of Baba, we are able to lead a very equanimous life and a very real life. So I think we feel really blessed that Baba has taken us into his fold. And we want to just continue doing our best for the country, because as I mentioned, till we play cricket, I think our responsibility is that we serve the country through cricket.
After that, any plans, what have you got, means after your active playing for the country?
Yeah, my dream, as I mentioned, was always to be a doctor. So in fact, I wanted to open a hospital, but then my father sort of didn't encourage me in that, because neither I am doctor or my wife is doctor, and he told that it's very difficult if both husband and wives are not doctors. So the next thing which I feel is very important for the society is education. So what my dream now is to start a school and a sports academy, because I think education and sports are integrated. And I want an all-round development for any kid in the country, because now it's not only about academics, but having the confidence, having the communication skills whenever you're facing anyone in the world, and which comes with sports, because of sports, you get that competitive spirit, you get the confidence that even though sometimes you may be very low, sometimes even you may be very disappointed with the result, but you bounce back strongly and compete. So, and also the communication skills, because you have to interact, because any sport, usually it's a team game where you interact with your friends, with your colleagues, with your teammates. So that communication skill is also developed. So my dream is to start a school and a sports academy in Hyderabad. I'm not really looking more as a business way. I mean, as long as it's one of the best in Hyderabad, I'll be very happy. So I'm just working out how to go about that. And I'm sure that it is only if Baba blesses me, then only that can happen. Otherwise, we may plan as much as we can, but without Baba's blessings, nothing can happen.
That will definitely happen, I'm sure, because Swami says this land is so pure and so wonderful that only what you need is a pure intent and a pure thought. Resources, manpower, everything will come on its own.
Yeah, it's only when God, because again my father taught me one thing is, as a kid, is very simple statement. Man proposes, God disposes. So until and unless God blesses you, you can have the best of planning, you can have the best of project reports, but nothing materializes. But if Swami gives you the blessing, if Swami blesses you, then the impossible can be possible. And as you mentioned earlier when you were having a chat with me, how this this came up, and it's unbelievable that it's only because of blessing of Baba, all this can happen, all the multi-speciality hospital, the thousands and not thousands, the crores of people who are benefiting by the various service projects of Swami. And it's only because of Baba's blessings, and just the presence of Baba is making all this happen. So it's only God's blessing, and without Swami's blessings, nothing can happen.
Yeah, before we wind up, the final thing, as I said, in more than 100 countries, people are listening. So anything that you would like to say to all our Radio Sai listeners?
There's nothing for me to actually share with them, because all of them, I feel, are blessed, because listening to Radio Sai itself is sort of a prayer to Baba. So I think all of them are already in Baba's fold. And I think it's important to just practice what Baba is preaching. There are a lot of things. Yesterday night when we went for dinner, it's written there, and my son reads loudly in the Shanti Bhavan dining hall saying, love all, serve all. That's such a simple thing. But if you can practice, it's very difficult to practice that. To love all. It's impossible to do that, in the present life. But if you can practice that, serve all, it's again very difficult to do that, because most of the time you're looking after your own selfish interest. So whenever I go into the darshan hall, into the bhajan hall, and it's amazing that so many people are craving for Baba to just touch them or just bless them. And the kind of happiness, the kind of love which is pouring out from Baba is unbelievable. Not even once will you see him being agitated, being angry. It is so difficult for us to practice that. And obviously he's God, So if we can practice even little bit of what he's preaching, there's so many things which he preaches.
Hurt never, help ever.
Help ever, So you should never hurt anyone. It's again, if you love everyone, you'll never hurt anyone. And if you serve all, obviously you're helping everyone. So I think there's such small preachings of Baba, I think if we can follow and if we can practice, then I'm sure that this world will be a better place to live. And there will be only happiness in the world. So all I can say to all the listeners of this program is just follow the preachings of Baba and lead a happy life.
Thank you, Laxman. It has been fantastic, and especially because all of us look up to Swami. He's our hero. But some of us, following his teachings and following the principles, have become heroes in society. And when such heroes speak to us, and we know that these principles which are taught to us every day in our spiritual life, these have helped these heroes to become heroes. It is really an inspiration, a source of motivation. And I'm sure listening to what all you have said, it will inspire all our listeners to be better humans and to become heroes in their own might. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Om Sai Ram.
Sai Ram.
That was VVS Laxman, a noted cricketer from South India, in conversation with Radio Sai's B. Arvind. This episode of our series, Tryst with Divinity, brought us a glimpse of this cricketer's sport and his spirit. We hope you enjoyed it, and if you'd like to share your thoughts on this program, please write to us at listener@radiosai.org. Thank you and Sai Ram from Prashanti Nilayam.